talking about Stadia longer than I thought, but I'm glad because I learned a lot. But I want to touch on Disney Plus because while gaming streaming is obviously something that's gonna come eventually, but we're still in the very early stages of streaming video is the norm now. I like just I'm still a Blu-ray buyer. I'm still a physical media buyer, not with TV really, but with film. I am. What?
Blu-ray boy.
I'm a Blu-ray boy. Blue Man Group. I was trying to make it connect, but it didn't really. Anyway, but not only are like DVD and Blu-ray sales apparently like half what they were like 5 years ago, which makes sense. I'm not too surprised, but like Disney Plus, maybe won't be able to like take down Netflix on its own, but this new streaming service had over 10 million signups on the first day. And like, I don't know, my Twitter sphere is pretty algorithmically designed to show me this stuff, but it seemed like a lot of people were talking about, the Mandalorian and all the old cartoons that are on it and like the movies and like the all the original content. Like, it just seems like this is as successful a launch as you could hope for something like this. And it's not surprising that Disney of all companies would be able to do that. But I honestly think when HBO Max comes out next year, it's also going to be a huge hit because
I'm very excited.
Because HBO already is like one of the top like choices for a lot of people because their premium content is so good.
Yes. So good.
But HBO Max is going to just be like essentially like a slight upgrade. Like if you have HBO already, you'll probably only have to pay like a few dollars more to get Max, and you'll get a lot more content from what I can tell.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, Cartoon Network. A lot of the DC stuff like Joker is going to be on at launch there. So I'm sure like half the people who are like, oh, I could go spend, more than half the people who are like, oh, I really love Joker. I could go spend $25 on the Blu-ray, or I could spend $15 a month on HBO Max and watch the Joker like a dozen times, and then also watch, all of Game of Thrones and everything, and Watchmen and everything new that's coming out. Like
Billy and Mandy.
Really?
No, just Cartoon Network.
Oh, I thought they were like bringing back Billy and Mandy.
Yo, if they were bringing back Billy and Mandy, I would be screaming it from every rooftop in America. Are you kidding me? So, man.
They're bringing back all these like Nickelodeon things for Netflix now. Like that.
The Zim movie was like,
so, I mean,
that gave me hope.
They could really like Cartoon Network, I think, is like, I mean, but even then, like on Cartoon Network in the past couple of years, they brought back like Powerpuff Girls and stuff. So like that era of cartoons is definitely like the nostalgic period to draw from now.
So 90s kids galore.
But I just want to give like first impressions on Disney Plus because I think it is really changing the game, especially for me, because what keeps me buying Blu-rays most of the time are these like franchise movies. Like I'm a completist when it comes to that. Like I want to have the entire MCU on my shelf. I want to have all of the Star Wars movies on my shelf, like and so on. And I gotta admit, like I got a lot of the same feeling scrolling through Disney Plus, going to the Star Wars section and seeing like every movie up through like Rogue One on there.
Where I still honestly haven't like gone through it that much. Like I forget that like Disney makes a lot of shit. They make so much stuff.
There's so much Fox stuff on there now too, And
I keep forgetting about that too. Like I logged on for Mandalorian and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
And then I immediately went to YouTube to watch all of the content surrounding Mandalorian about like the theories and because I'm still like I don't know. Like I'm a new Star Wars fan. Like I used to call myself like a fake Star Wars fan, but like I genuinely do enjoy it now. Like I get excited when I see the trailers for the new stuff. Like not the same level of excitement, but like all this to say, I have a lot of questions. So like I'll see something and I'm like, okay, I know that has significance. Who is why? It
seems like people are talking about it in the way that like that same kind of thing would happen with Game of Thrones, where like a cliffhanger would happen and like everyone is like, what does this mean? Like I'm seeing that with Mandalorian in a way I kind of didn't really expect. I knew it would be big with Star Wars fans, and I didn't
expect myself to like it as much as I did. I'm just like it was Pedro Pascal as Boba Fett, and not actually Boba Fett, but like
visually,
in my head,
like to the casual fan, that is like the Boba Fett armor. And
like to me, as the casual fan, Boba Fett is the badass, He's the badass with the jetpack and the cool mask. Cool. And then you have the Viper from Game of Thrones, and he's going to be that, and space stuff. Cool. Sign me up. Like I don't have the same
past with like Werner Herzog and
like
Nick Nolte and
Taika Waititi. Like as a TV fan, I'm on board. But like I did not expect myself. Like this is like one of my most anticipated watches of the week. Like Watchmen is the shit. Like Watchmen is my number one most anticipated show every week so far. But like I did not expect Mandalorian to be I didn't expect myself to enjoy it as much as I did. Like its quality, I didn't really have any kind of like expectations, but just like my love for it, I had no idea.
It seems like it's really striking the balance between like being that show for the hardcore Star Wars fan while also being accessible. Because my biggest issue with like the other spinoff stuff they've done in the Disney era, like Solo and Rogue One, really Solo. I think Rogue One stands on its own pretty well, although by the end of it, it's very much like a New Hope fan service, but it's fun. I enjoy it as a fan of those. And like, if you're going to do fan service to any Star Wars movie, like the one you're probably most easily able to get away with is the first Star Wars movie, the one that was literally just called Star Wars. So it's probably the most seen Star Wars movie out of all of them. So like, I think you can get away with it, but Solo, like, spoilers for Solo if you care, if you haven't seen it and you care, but
you don't care.
Whatever. So the end of that movie reintroduces Darth Maul for people who haven't seen Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. And I had seen Clone Wars. I'm watching Rebels now on Disney Plus, but like the Darth Maul reveal at the end of that should have been the hype as shit, because Phantom Menace was like my favorite movie growing up. Darth Maul is like still one of my favorite like Star Wars characters, but he just showed up in a hologram, opened his lightsaber or turned on his lightsaber just
for no reason.
Like, see that he had it. Like, oh, cool. Like, just to do nothing, just to be like slightly intimidating.
Just imagine someone being like, wait, who is that guy again? And then they're like, oh, because the spikes and the red face didn't give it away.
Yeah.
Like, I was just someone in like a test group, like everyone immediately was like, oh, and there's just one dude just like not getting it. He's like, could you add like his lightsaber, please?
Like, don't get me wrong, it was cool and everything, and like, but it felt like the ending of the first Avengers end credit scene where you see Thanos, right? And that means nothing to the casual fan who doesn't know who Thanos is, but to the people who know who Thanos is, to the people who are just into the movies and are like, who's that guy? Like it's exciting. But they put that in the movie. Like it's in like the Darth Maul scene is in the actual movie. It's not a post-credit scene. It is the end of the movie. And it tees up sequels that we're never going to get because we're moving away from that. Like maybe he shows up in a TV show. I guess there was rumors a few weeks ago that they were going to do some sort of like Disney Plus series that was like Solo, like using the characters they established, either like a Lando series or a Solo series or something, but basically continuing the threads that would have been in like a Solo 2. But it doesn't seem like we're going to get that. I would be surprised if we get a Solo series announced, especially because if you want to bring back Lando, you got to get Donald Glover to sign on to a Disney Plus series. And like, I was surprised they even got him for the one. I mean, I'm sure they dumped truck of money to his house, but like that whole thing surprised me. But yeah, like the Mandalorian is doing a great job of like showing us old stuff that's familiar, but it's not like, here's a specific character that you either know or you don't know. It's like, oh, here are like light spoilers for episode 2, but like here are Jawas, like, and if you've seen the original Star Wars, you know what these guys are, but it's not like important that you know what they are. Like, they're scavengers. Yeah, exactly. Pretty immediately, okay, these are scavengers because they're taking all the parts from a ship. Like that's all you really need to know. Knowing that Nick Nolte's character is an Ugnaught does nothing for the like appreciation of the show. But like,
I had no idea about. I don't even know what that is, but I still love the show.
Like, it's just like an alien that was in the background and like in some scenes in like the original trilogy, and now this is just another one of the same species, and like that's cool but not important. And
also, didn't know that was Nick Nolte until they said it on Kinda Funny, because he's a little alien boy, and I just
the cast is so good. It's like all these like super high class actors in like small roles or like voice roles at like they're really pulling out all the stops for it, and I think people can tell. Like I think it's clear this isn't like a spin-off. This is like a a thing that could define the future of Star Wars, you know?
Like as a I'm not gonna say like I'm forcing myself into it, but like I did for a long time, like just not
Forcing yourself.
Didn't even get that. But like growing up with not Star Wars, like I watched, like I had the Legos, like I saw the movies in theaters, I saw the Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith in theaters. Like something in me told me not to go see the second one.
You saw Phantom Menace in theaters? We were 2 years old.
Then it must have been fucking.
I mean, they re-released it like 10 years ago or something, but.
Okay, then I think I saw the re-release because like I'm 99% sure I saw Phantom Menace.
They did like a 3D re-release because George Lucas really wanted to like re-release all of them in 3D, and then he started with Phantom Menace, and no one saw it. So
it must have been that because I know that I've seen 2 Star Wars movies in theaters, and I know that it couldn't have been, or 2 Star Wars movies before the.
And it wasn't Attack of the Clones?
No, I know for a fact I still have not seen Attack of the Clones. I have not seen Attack of the Clones or Return of the Jedi, and I've only seen like the first half of Empire. But like I know things.
Any diehard Star Wars fan listening to this is like digging their nails into their list.
I invite all of it. I do not care. Like I've seen the fan.
Not only have you said you liked The Last Jedi, but you said you didn't even finish Empire.
I mean, look, I'm never going to butt my head. Like if there's a serious Star Wars discussion unfolding in front of me, I'm only going to listen. Under no circumstances if hey, well, you know, I think Finn is the second reincarnation of the Emperor, and we're going to see that in the next one. Like I'm never going to, if that's true, we recorded this 11/19. Neither of us have seen the movie. I just want to future proof this. 11/18. Today's 11/18. Good Lord. I'm just like, if that'd be crazy if just at some point like they turn around and Finn John Boyega just say like force lightning out of. I mean, it's just I don't know, just J.J. Abrams being like, we're trying to be subversive, like.
Oh God.
But yeah, honestly, now that Disney Plus like has all the Star Wars movies, like I can see McClunky and I can get mad about it, and like. I can like I do want to go back. I want to watch Clone Wars. I still haven't.
You definitely watch Clone Wars. I've been watching. I think I said this before. I've been watching Rebels, and I really like it. I think I like Clone Wars more from what I've seen so far of Rebels, but like they're both so good, and the fact that Dave Filoni, who was so heavily involved in both of those shows, is working on The Mandalorian now is awesome, and it makes it feel as a part of the universe while still being its own thing as Clone Wars and Rebels did. I think he's really good at that.
In the timeline. Where does Rebels take place in the Star Wars timeline?
It's like 5 years before New Hope. Like the main kid in that is the same age, literally born on the same day as Luke Skywalker.
I'm sure they use that for story purposes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to think because I if there is a reason for me to start with Rebels and not Clone Wars, because in my head I'm like, if I'm gonna watch another Star Wars show, like because now I have the Star Wars itch. Like I fucking like Mandalorian for some reason. Like I loved Force Awakens. Loved Force Awakens. Like I said, I liked Last Jedi. So like but they didn't get me the same way the Mandalorian has so far. Like I'm in now.
I think if you're gonna watch Clone Wars or Rebels, I would either start Rebels and see if you like it and then switch over, or just start with Clone Wars, because Clone Wars is an anthology. So every it's like 1 to 3 episode story arcs, and then they go to another story arc with a different set of characters. So you might have 2 episodes about Yoda doing something, and then 3 episodes about Anakin and Obi-Wan doing something, and then 2 episodes about Jar Jar doing something. Like it's all over the place. So I think it could be good to start with that, because that way, if you're not liking us, if you start an episode and you're like, I don't need to watch Jar Jar fuck around with droids for 3 episodes, you can just skip that story arc. And they aired out of order, chronologically speaking. Mm-hmm. And on Disney Plus, that's how they're ordered in the way they originally aired. So you can look up a chronological order and watch it that way, or
just go.
You can just watch it in whatever order, because that's kind of the point, is that it's just different stories from the Clone Wars. That's basically the whole pitch of the show, is like, what were people up to? I mean, like, you should still watch like the Anakin stuff in some relative order, because there is a way his character progresses that explains sort of his turn in 3 in Revenge of the Sith well. And I think it would be weird if you like started with like season 5 episodes and then went back to season 1. But in general, you can pretty much watch like an isolated Clone Wars arc and get it.
Cool.
Completely.
Okay. And like, do they have the original like the 2D one made by the Samurai Jack people by Gendy?
No. Good question. I don't think it's on there though. I feel like I would have noticed that by now. I don't know what maybe because that was like a license thing with Cartoon Network. Like maybe they just don't own that, maybe. Or because I think it's possible that they're just not putting anything that isn't canon on there.
Sense.
I mean, there's all the like Lego animated Star Wars things, like the direct-to-video stuff. Bless you.
Thank you.
And that's on there, but I think technically a lot of that is canon, and just like with an asterisk being like, this is canon, but told like, through the lens of like a kid thing. Like, so these events happened, but they didn't necessarily exactly happen this way.
Okay. So
which I think is just a good way of explaining how they've done the Star Wars canon since Disney has got it, is being like, the movies, the shows, the books, the games, whatever, are all canon, like the events of them are, but the tone, the
like the blow by blow of like this is how, like the narration maybe, like,
it's all just basically like, you could tell two people could tell the same story in completely different ways, like
it's like how different people give the Batman origin story. It's like the Waynes are going to die at the end of the story, it's just a matter of getting them dead.
Or I mean, I don't even mean that far. Like, I think literally like the events themselves, but rather like the tone with which it's handled. Like, you could probably remake Rebels with like a more serious tone, but keep all the plot points. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah.
How would you describe the tone of Rebels? And actually, how would you describe the tone of Rebels? I haven't really seen that much of.
Like Rebel, I started watching Rebels when I first started, like over a year ago, after like finishing Clone Wars, and Clone Wars gets like pretty damn serious by the end. Like the last like 2 seasons of Clone Wars are like still a kid's show without a doubt. Like there's nothing too dark, but they're like completely made for Star Wars fans of all ages, like truly like older and younger. Rebels felt like when it started, like this is a show for kids. Okay. But I've only just started the 2nd season, and it already feels like it's matured a lot. But I mean, it just, if you're going to watch Rebels or Clone Wars, you have to go in knowing like these are kids shows. They might get dark for kids shows, but they are kids shows. Mandalorian, I don't think has done anything that would make me like not show like a 10 or a 13-year-old, but like
I was surprised to see
still made for older kids. It's not like Game of Thrones and Star Wars, but it's darker than most of the movies are.
Like, there's a dude getting cut in half by a door in the first 10 minutes. It's a bit.